Fighting is in my blood. I've been doing everything from taekwondo to judo to karate to mixed martial arts since I was around 4 years old. I absolutely love it. It's part of my DNA. At first, I liked fighting because of the violence, but as I got into the deep waters of various disciplines, I fell in love with the strategy of combat. To me, professional fighting is the most beautiful chess game you can have. So of course, whenever I find a game that's about real fighting, I have to try it out. And this is Kickboxing for the PS1. This game is something that really surprised me. I mean, the graphics look like cartoons, and yet the actual kickboxing fighting and strategy is incredibly realistic. I mean, this is probably the most advanced kickboxing simulator I've ever played on an older generation console. The actual fighting in this game is just spot on. The basic strategy is simple. You use the action buttons and the movement buttons to perform different combinations of attacks. It's both intuitive and complex, which makes for a really great gameplay experience. You press various combinations of up, down, left, right, square, X, circle, triangle key, and you perform various high, low attacks and combinations with kicks and punches. You can also use the arrow keys while holding back to block or set up counters for when the enemies attack. The strategies with all the different things you can do in this game are absolutely infinite. They are as strategic as a real professional kickboxing match. You kick low, you do some punch combinations high as the opponent is backing away because he's a little hurt. You throw a big, powerful head kick. And the various knockdowns and KOs and TKOs in this game are oh so satisfying to execute. I mean, I can watch slow motion replays of my KO triumphs over and over again like I did them in real life instead of in a video game. And on top of the fact that this is a really advanced for its time, realistic kickboxing simulator, all the different characters, and there are a ton of different characters to play as and to unlock, they all have their own different strategies and special moves. Not only while you fight as them, but also as you're fighting them. Like, some enemies prefer to really throw haymakers and not do a lot of combinations. Some enemies try to trap you in the corner and work your body. Some enemies want you to come at them, and then they counter all of your attacks and throw flurries of really powerful attacks on you. There are several game modes like the ranking, the story, and the versus mode. The ranking mode is basically an arcade mode where you climb through a gauntlet of kickboxers, each one getting harder and harder, and then you unlock higher tiers of tournaments once you become the winner of the previous tournament. The story mode is probably the most unique way to do a story mode I've ever seen in any kind of fighting game, whether it be boxing, arcade, or realistic simulation fighting. Talk to your opponents and you kind of get into the mood of what's going on. You get to learn about all the different opponents and why you're fighting them. And then once you beat them, you play as the person you just beat. So you basically go through the entire story mode fighting as a different character in the game for every single one of your fights. You literally get to experience all the flavors of this great game in the story mode. I mean, not only does it let you experience all the characters in the game, but also it keeps the game incredibly fresh because every single fight is different due to the fact that you're always fighting with a different person. And as I've said, all the characters are different enough from each other where you're always gonna have to use a different strategy to win. When I first started playing, I could tell right away the game was fantastic, even despite its cartoony graphics. I could perform all the punches and kicks, but I was getting backed into a corner. See, this game's strategy is not just a fighting strategy, it's also movement strategy. You have to move left and right, you have to move backwards and forwards. And on top of all this game has some of the best OST music I've ever heard. Not just in a fighting game, but just on the PlayStation. That is RPG-worthy music. It's absolutely surprising that you'd hear music that good in a kickboxing simulation. Kickboxing is, for lack of a better word, fantastic if you're into realistic fighting games. For fans of realistic fighting games like boxing games or kickboxing games or MMA games, this is a solid 9 out of 10. you have to try it out. For everyone else, maybe people who aren't that much into realistic fighting, don't really appreciate the science and strategy of realistic fighting, I wouldn't say this is a game for you, but it's still good enough where you'd probably enjoy it, at least for a little while. For you, I'd say this game is something like a 7 or a 6 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.